I thought NoFap would cure my porn addiction, but I was wrong. What I have discovered is that NoFap is not only dangerous, but it also increases your porn addiction. And the first time I realized this, I was totally shocked, bro. In this video, I will show you why NoFap is not actually the answer to quit porn addiction and what actually works if you truly want to quit this addiction for good. Let me explain, bro. Bro, after struggling with this addiction for years and years, when I finally discovered NoFap, I thought I found the fix. This is it. This is the ultimate solution. Now I can truly quit for good. I was really hopeful that this is the final solution that is going to actually help me quit this addiction for good. So I went all in. I deleted everything. I blocked all the sites. I used so many blocking apps that would stop me from even accessing this site. And I counted every streak diligently, very diligently, but nothing really worked. But at the end of the day, I used to relapse. The highest I would go is 3, 5, or 7 days, and I would be back where I started. And I always found a way to cheat on those blocking apps because they can always be disabled so easily. They pretend as if this app are, will forever block these sites, but there is so many loopholes that you can find. And every time I used to relapse, I used to tell myself I do not have enough discipline, I don't have enough willpower, and I used to beat myself up over it, as in like put so much pressure on myself. I used to feel guilty. I used to feel like I'm worthless because I don't have enough discipline and willpower to resist my urges. I tried to keep my urges and my lust at bay. I wanted to cage myself, my lust and my urges and my desires in a cage. I want to put them in a cage or in a cave, deep, dark cave somewhere else. But the lust eventually hit, but the urges eventually comes back. They hit back stronger than ever. And let me be honest with you, bro. We only have so much willpower we can rely on. But still, I fought with every single ounce of my willpower until I felt fully drained. I felt like a failure, and I felt worthless because I relapsed. And every time I relapsed, I felt like all the progress I made was lost, and everything was for nothing. All this hard work, all this resistance was for nothing, and I lost. I totally felt like a failure. I felt like if the earth swallowed me whole, I would be fine. And bro, every time I relapsed, I felt like a complete failure. I felt totally ashamed of myself. And I feel disgusted about myself that I couldn't even control myself for 3 to 5 days without going past 3 to 5 days without relapsing. I felt so disgusted with myself. I felt like I was worthless. And I felt I was stupid or something. It was horrible. I was in a horrible depression. And I almost wanted to kill myself. All my confidence in myself was gone because I had a lot of self-confidence and I was really proud of my achievements before this. But after this addiction and after relapsing, I started slowly losing confidence in myself, confidence in my self-control, confidence in my capabilities, and I started digressing and devolving backwards. It was a much weaker version of myself who doesn't have enough confidence in himself. And my achievements and academic success suffered because of it. Because I let myself fall back and I let myself become a smaller and smaller in my achievements, in my goals, as well as in my dream. I always was a high ambitious person, an ambitious man. But I let myself fall because I was relapsing and I couldn't control myself from my relapses. And that made me feel like a failure. And I felt like a complete and utter failure. And I know, bro, you have been there too. We all have been there. And we have suffered and we felt like this for ourselves as well. Because I know from experience, we all have felt like this, bro. And I know how horrible it feels for all of us. So you have to understand, bro, you are not alone. We are all going through this. But this is not our fault, bro. This is because NoFap doesn't actually solve the real problem, the real fundamental problem of the disease. Because porn addiction is treated like a disease, it's like a drug addiction. It is a psychological and mental condition. It's a brain condition. It's literally like a cocaine or any other drug addiction. But no, what NoFap does it makes us feel like no, the disease isn't even there, the addiction isn't there. And also it makes us feel like we are the problem. It's not porn addiction, neither it is NoFap that is the problem. But it is us. There is something wrong with us. That's what NoFap makes us feel like. And porn addiction is like that by design. But NoFap is just a side effect because it doesn't actually solve the real core issue of this disease, of this addiction, of this monster with its octopus claws that is holding us back, which is called porn addiction. This porn addiction is literally a monster. And if you don't escape the hand of this monster, you will always feel like something is trapping you. And what NoFap does is it makes it feel like as if the porn addiction is not the problem. Neither the method of NoFap is the problem, but rather it is us. Something is wrong with us, in ourselves. Something is wrong with you for not following through with the NoFap protocol. It's there is something wrong with you, which is the problem because there is nothing wrong with you. It's the method itself and porn addiction that is the problem. It's not you. You are not the problem, but you never realize it because you see that NoFap works for other people, so it must work for you too. But it doesn't, and then you start blaming yourself, even though you are not the problem. And let's be honest, bro. You and I both know that people are going to relapse on NoFap. All of us who have tried NoFap, even the people with 1,000 day or 2,000 day streak have relapsed on NoFap. Everybody does. And once or twice a month, or once or twice a year, or every 6 months is fine. It's not that big of a deal. That's not a problem. But the real problem is you blaming yourself for something that is not your fault. But you assume that it's your fault because you don't know any better. None of us do. We don't know that. The method doesn't teaches us about these pitfalls. Neither it solves the core issue of the addiction, core problem of this addiction. And there is even more dangerous side effect to NoFap as well because look, you have abstained and from watching or engaging with adult content for few days, could be 1 day, 3 days, 7 days. But since you didn't abstain like this before, since you have abstained now, you stayed away from it now. When you eventually go back after the hour, you will feel even better than before because you will feel like you have finally achieved the pleasure you are looking for. You have finally achieved the high feeling that you are missing in your life, which will make the addiction even more stronger. And also, the feeling of withdrawal from addiction is caused by porn itself. It's not because of there is something wrong with you. It's because porn has such a strong grip on you that when you are avoiding porn, it gives you withdrawal pangs. It's like pain, not really, but kind of like pain that makes you feel like you are missing something important for your life, missing a pleasure, fun from life. But that is not true. You are not missing anything beneficial from your life. But the addiction has such a strong hold on you that you feel like you do. So when you eventually relapse, you feel like you have achieved a high. And think about it, bro. When you eventually relapse, since you have abstained for this long, you feel so much pleasure. And this actually strengthens and reinforces this monster of addiction. And it grips on you, the octopus grips that it has on you gets even more stronger. Bro, you understand, right? And think about this, bro. When you go back to the novel after relapsing, you feel like you are caging in a monster and chaining a monster that will break out and go on a rampage. E- Every single day, it feels like any time this monster could break loose and go on a whole on rampage and destroy your entire life, destroy all this progress that you have made. Do you really want to seriously live on a fear of such rampage? Fear that all progress you make will go to ruin? Is that a life you want to live? While you are always fearful that this monster can get loose and ruin your entire life, all your progress, all the success you have made toward achieving your goal. Is that the life you want, bro? Because you have to understand something, brother. We are not curing our addiction this way. Because ultimately, this is like a sick monster disease, and we are not curing this disease. We are taming the disease. We are putting it in a cage. We are forcing it to behave. But how long until it goes back on a rampage? How long can you hold it in? Can you hold it in cage until it breaks out? Bro, you have to understand the secret here. It's called escalation. Now, what does that mean? What it means is that your brain adapts. So the your brain will protect itself from too much dopamine by down regulating your dopamine receptor. So what happens is that the same old videos, vanilla videos that you are used to watch are not going to feel pleasurable anymore. So you will go for even more extreme and dangerous deranged kind of genres of porn. So your addiction will keep escalating as well as your brain will keep down regulating your receptor so that you will need more, even more and more and more and more dopamine to achieve the same level of high. Every single time you will get upgrade, level up, but in the wrong thing, in the wrong way. Because we should be leveling up in your life, in our achievements, real life achievements. But instead you're leveling up in porn addiction. And all of this happens because our brain wants to protect ourselves from too much exposure to dopamine. But your brain also or your body also wants more pleasure. So or at least feel the same level of pleasure you felt before. So you keep hunting for more dangerous and more dangerous and more dangerous type of content. But what ends up happening is that you start watching more dangerous type of content and this makes you even more addicted to porn. And you get trapped by this monster even more. We all understand this inherently, right? You already have experience with this. You know what I'm talking about. I don't really need to explain it to you even more. Because you know what I'm talking about, bro. So this is what escalation means. And you already have experience with it. All of us that have engaged with some form of addiction has an experience with this. But this is a double-edged sword, bro. It's double-edged sword because we won't find the pleasure from same type of content anymore. So we'll go and look for even more deranged and dangerous type of content, which means this addiction will get even more stronger and it will get even more stronger hold on us. And bro, if and now imagine you are on you are on NoFap and then you relapse. And then this relapse after 3 5 days you keep relapsing, keep relapsing. This relapses every single time that happens. The escalation is going to be even more stronger because every time you relapse you are going to go back to a stronger and a stronger type of content. So it will lead to even more escalation and even more stronger reinforcement of the addiction. Which is no fact is secretly even more dangerous than we think. Because instead of curing the problem, curing the addiction, it reinforces the addiction. It makes the addiction even more stronger. And it indirectly feeds the monster that we call porn. Bro, do you realize how crazy it is? We really realize that. I didn't understand this at first. I thought quitting was just about willpower. But this isn't about discipline. It's about how our brain gets rewired, how it gets changed by the neurochemistry at play by this addiction. Bro, now don't get me wrong. NoFap does help some people. There are some people who have successfully quit this addiction with NoFap. That is true. But for most of us, it creates new problem. The first problem is the restrict counting. You start obsessing over restrict instead of actually focusing on recovery and curing the disease, getting fixing your brain. Because think about it, this is a neurochemical disease or neurochemical addiction. And so you have to fix and focus on your brain. But instead of focusing what you need to focus, you obsess over just counting streaks. But counting streaks in and of itself is not progressive overload or progressive deloading. of this addiction, because you are not actually just making progress in actually fixing your brain, fixing your neurochemistry, but you are just focusing on counting how long you can go without watching porn. And if it works amazingly. But for most of us, let's be honest, it doesn't work. If it works as well as it is said, then all of us would be cured out of our addiction by now. But have you cured your addiction? How long have you been trying NoFap? And how much actual true progress have you done, bro? Honestly, tell me, bro. You go for day 3, day 5, day 7, day 10, or even 100, and then you relapse. And then once you relapse, you feel like a failure. You feel like you are back at zero. All the progress you made is lost. But that's not true at all. All the progress you made are still here. But that's the problem with NoFap. It is self-inflicted diffusion because you start from zero. Because all the progress you made becomes intangible now. They are all gone. You are back at zero. But in reality, that is not true. Because all the progress you made stays even after you relapse, and it builds on the relapses and makes you even better at curing your disease, curing your addiction. But NoFap doesn't teach you that. So you don't inherently know that you didn't lose all your progress. Because bro, even if you relapse, all the progress you made are still here. They are not gone. All the progress we have made accumulates and improves us. It's not that once you relapse you go back to zero. That's not how real life works, bro. And that is true for all of us. And not only it is still here even after you relapse, it compounds and it builds on it. You are building the foundation. You are not restarting from zero. But NoFap makes you feel like a failure because you have to start again. Because you are back to zero. So you have to start again. But that's not true. As I've said already. You're not starting from zero. You already have a foundation. But the thing is you are deluded. We are all made deluded by this method that if we relapse we are starting from zero. But that's not true. Bro, now that we have established that we have made a lot of progress, then the logical thing would be to keep pushing so that we can go towards success. We can achieve success and we can truly quit this addiction. But let me be honest with you for a second, bro. NoFap isn't going to help you do that. It's not truly going to cure your addiction because it doesn't answer the core problem. It doesn't solve the core issue, and also because NoFap gives you unrealistic expectation. Look at what NoFap YouTuber promises you. The They promise you magical benefits like instant attraction, super confidence, insane level of energy. You will become a super saiyan after studying NoFap, 7 days of NoFap or something like that. All of this is bullshit, bro. You and I both know that those are bullshit. But honestly, bro, when you don't see these results show up, you are starting questioning yourself. As we have said before, you don't question the method, instead you question yourself, as if you are the problem. And this is the true problem with NoFap. Because you never question the method, instead you question yourself, as if the method is foolproof, bulletproof. And you know for a fact that it is bulletproof. But that is not true. Even if it works for some people, there is no guarantee that it will work for you. So now we already know that how relapsing on NoFap leads to escalation in porn addiction. And we also know that how this method makes it feel like it's your own fault for relapsing instead of the method having any flaw. Now imagine, bro, how dangerous this is for outside. Bro, are you sure we are honestly prepared for this? When we first learned about NoFap, bro, did you realize how big of a trap it was? And bro, some YouTuber even go as far to say that if you quit this addiction, you will suddenly become a alpha male billionaire who will have all the women in the world. Like, what the fuck is this? But let's be real, bro. That's not how it works. Unless you are retarded, you would know that that's not how it works. What do they think of us? We're dumb or something? Are you ready for hearing the hard truth, my friend? NoFap doesn't cure porn addiction. I have said this again and again and again to you. And there is a reason I'm saying it again and again. Because what it is at the best is band-aid. It's like if you have a wound that is open, you put a band-aid on it. That doesn't cure the it doesn't cure the wound immediately, but it helps. There is something that is stopping the bleeding, but it's not truly cure, is it? And at its worst, it makes you feel like a failure for relapsing. It makes you obsess over meaningless streaks and made you feel guilt and shame for relapsing, even if it is the method's fault, not your own fault. And the worst of them all is that it feeds the addiction. It feeds the monster that is trapping you in this addiction. It's keeping you entrapped. Don't you feel enraged that the method that you think is going to cure your addiction is actually feeding the monster that is keeping you even more trapped in this addiction? Bro, so if NoFap is not the answer to our addiction, then what is? I have been experimenting, learning, and trying to figure out what works for almost 3 years now. 3 years I have put into this. And I found something that truly changed everything for me. And I call it less fair. And it's not really an authentic discovery or something. I learned it from other people. And the main point of this method is that it's not about counting strips. Forget about strips totally. Do not even focus on counting strips. Instead, it is about relapse minimization over time. What do I mean by this? What this means is that you are not going to obsess over strips. Instead, you are going to see how many times you relapse every single month. First of all, have an ideal number that you think, or for the first month, just count how many times you fab, and then from the next month onward, just try to decrease the number by 5, at least 2 to 3. Target Ideal target should be to 5, and even if you don't like hit 5, less less amount by 5, if you still go down by 2, 3, even 1 less time than the last month, then you are still progressing. So it is all about progressively overloading your capability to resist porn, and also at the same time, instead of obsessing over a streak, you are now trying to lower the amount of number you have every month. So you are progressively deloading your brain from engaging with porn per month basis instead of just obsessing over week by week or day by day addiction. You are thinking holistically and on the long term picture, like how many times would I fab in like 3 to 6 months from now. So if I fab 20 times this month, then I will continue to take it down by 5 every single month from now on. So 6 months later, I would only be fabbing like 1 to 3 times per month. Which is, think about it, you are fabbing 20 times this month, 6 months later you are not going to even fab 2 to 3 times. Not even that. Maybe you will be totally free. So isn't that better than obsessive over strips? So you are progressively deloading porn from your brain, but also at the same time it is progressively overloading your brain and your body of learning to resist and take control of yourself from this addiction. So the summary of this method is that instead of obsessing over streaks, you count how many times you fabbed and try to decrease the number every single month. So per month basis, you keep improving yourself, and all the progress you made this month will carry over to the last month, next month, and every last month, 2, 3, 4 months, you have tried less fab. It will keep stacking on top of each other and building a habit stack, which will slowly improve you and progress you toward curing this addiction. The main rule of this addiction, yes, the main rule of this method is that you don't force yourself from relapsing. You just try to minimize the relapse, but don't force yourself that no, one more day, not like this. But obviously, try to control your urge, have self control, and try to ignore the urges and not react to them. But also at the same time, when you eventually relapse, do not obsess over one single relapse, but think about the whole month. How much progress you want to make in the whole month. In not only in terms of this addiction, but also in terms of your life and goal. how much progress you want to make in your life. And if you keep doing this, soon you will feel like you don't even have to relapse anymore. You don't have to fight your urges, bro. They just disappear because you don't pay any attention to them. Also, when you do eventually relapse, don't beat yourself up for it because it's normal. You are going to relapse anyway. That is most probably will happen. If it doesn't happen, that's good. That's what we all want. That is our ideal case scenario. But let's be honest, that's not going to happen. So be prepared for it. But when it eventually happens, don't beat yourself up over it. Don't be upset. Don't feel like a failure because all the progress are there, and you are building yourself. And think on the long term. Think of the 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, 6 months basis, even 1 year basis. How much progress you want to make 1 year from now? Instead of fighting yourself for relapsing, learn from it and put that one relapse aside and just move on with your life. Because you are still progressing. You are progressing in your life, your goals, your success. So keep pushing forward. And on the topic of goal, also remember to get busy with your life. Because if you are not busy, then the satanic monster is going to come back to your mind and going to give you bad thoughts. That is obvious because a idle brain is a playground of the devil. So obviously you're going to think dumb thoughts and last and urges will come back to you when you eventually relapse. But the point I was trying to make is that focus on working hard on day-to-day basis, consistent hard work so that you can achieve your goals. That is also going to keep you busy and focus on more important long-term goals, which will stop you from thinking and obsessing about last and urges, which also helps to keep this monster at bay. And ultimately, the point of quitting this addiction and taking control over yourself is to achieve your goals. So make sure to focus on your goals. Achieving them is the most important thing. Now, bro, let's fap and all of this is just a piece to the puzzle. If you truly want freedom from this addiction, you have to understand the underlying principles and the real reason behind this addiction. Because if you don't understand the real reason why this addiction occurs and how this addiction develops in your brain and how it plays with your neurochemistry, neurobiology, then you are not going to understand how to quit this addiction and how to conquer this addiction. So if you want to truly quit this addiction, then you have to watch the video to understand the real reason how this addiction works and how this addiction develops so that you can quit it for better. So click here to watch this now. Click, 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 click.